peace and stop the fighting. One love, one unity, got to break the bondage. No more borders around me, no more mental slavery. But Marley said it best, stand together and feel alright. But if we fight, let it be for justice. And if we war, let it be for justice. At all costs, let it be for justice. Do what is right, let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. No matter what it costs, let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. Inequity, disparities, and violence, oppression, racism. No, I won't be silent. No more barriers for we. We will thrive, prosperity. Marcus Garvey said it best. None but ourselves can free your minds. But if we fight, let it be for justice. No matter what it costs, let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. We the people are from royalty. Royalty. I wish so many of us can see. Keep the culture, be united, stop the violence. Put the power in ourselves, create the franchise. In the news last week, another bomb overseas. I'm so sick of these murders in the streets.
Greetings and salutations one and all. Welcome to the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele. Community and Finance Night. And you know, whenever I start with this, something is up, right? The sound of China Nicole. Track called Let It Be for Justice, kicking us off tonight on this Community and Finance Night. I want to say big ups to each and everyone locked in right now. Those on TuneIn Radio on the night shift with DJ Kevin Steele. Big ups to you. Those hailing from across the pond on One Harmony Radio. At the top of the morning to you guys over in the UK. Much love to the massive out of New Jersey. Those locked in on NIE Radio, hanging out with New Jersey's finest, the Motivator. I want to say big ups to my New York massive. Those hailing from Long Island, locked in on Reggae Pulse Radio. Much love to you guys, DJ Atomic Force and crew. Big ups to you. Big ups to the Island Worldwide Massive, exhibiting the power of music. And the family of this lady here singing, China Nicole. Blessings Gary. Yeah man, much love to the Island Worldwide Massive, the Island Worldwide family. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in on the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com. Big ups Mr. Lindsay. Holding it down over 40 years, over 4 decades.
We the people are from royalty.
Boy, I wonder if I can stick in it that long. Let me see, 40 years.
Keep the culture, be united, stop the violence. Put the power in ourselves, create.
Another veteran in the business, Donnie Walker,
bomb overseas,
hailing out of Texas, and the Texas Massive. Big ups to you guys. You know they do things bigger in Texas, right? Not too sure why, but that's how it is. So those hailing on Oliwap Radio, big ups to you. Those on Dusick Media Group, blessings. And for those at WGLRO, home of the Donny Walker Morning Show, it's the People Station.
One love, one unity.
They take you from the sheets to the streets, touching from Detroit to Denmark and all points in between.
Around me, no more
Much love, Donny.
But Marley said it best, stand together and feel alright. But if we fight,
Want to say big ups to the PEMG TV massive. Those locked in on Zeno FM. Those on Clubhouse. Bubbling in the stew pot. Those locked in on Facebook Live. Those on YouTube Live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Of course, those of you on Facebook Live and on Clubhouse. Remember, it's only a segment broadcast, so don't get too comfortable. Come on over to kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.
We will thrive, prosperity.
And of course, big ups to the massive locked in on kevinstew.com. So glad to have you all. Couldn't do it without you. And you have my word, I wouldn't even try. Want to say thank you to my segment sponsors, Pulse Media Group, and being in a moment is priceless. Give them a call. They can take care of your videos, your photos, your streaming, and your advertising. They can do everything you see here on kevinstew.com and things you don't see, like hosting the website.
Let it be for justice, no matter what it costs. Let it be for justice. Let it be.
The kind of events that they can stream for you range from church services to funerals to weddings to parties to graduations to seminars.
Can't see.
Just go ahead and give them a call. 954-999. Sorry, 754-999-1140. That's 754-999-1140.
In the streets.
Tell them Kevin Stew sent you. Want to say thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea SU is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade, and South Palm Beach counties. She comes to you, bringing her table, her oils, and over 20 years massage therapy experience. Give her a call today. Schedule your appointment, 954-655-9000. That's 954-655-9000. She only has one request outside of paying her. That is to get off her table and go sleep somewhere else.
One love, one unity, got to break the
Yeah, man, whenever she's done with my massage, that's where I fall asleep. So it's called the Kevin Stew Clause.
mental slavery.
Only request outside of paying her.
It best stand together and feel alright. But if we
Want to say thank you to Reggae Global Entertainment. Reggae Global lectures your booking agents, handle your tour management, take care of your business registrations, legal service referrals, music production, marketing and promotion, and much, much more. Go ahead and give them a call, 954-804-8199. Or you can check them out online, reggaeglobal.com.
let it be for justice, no matter what
Tell them Kevin Stew sent you.
justice. Let it be for justice. Inequity,
Want to say thank you to McNeil Trucking.
violence,
With McNeil Trucking, your goods are in good hands.
racism, no, I won't
They're licensed and insured movers in the state of Florida.
bury us from
You want to move from point A to point B, put some things in storage, don't have the manpower or the equipment or the transportation? No worries. You have the name and you have the number. McNeil Trucking, 954-406-9740. That's 954-406-9740. Tell them you heard about them on the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Thank you, McNeil Trucking.
what is right. Let it be for justice. Let it be for justice. No matter what it costs, let it be for justice.
No matter what it costs.
Let it be for justice. let it be for justice.
Do your best to let it be for justice.
For justice, no matter what it costs.
For those of you just joining in, you still have time. Go ahead, call a friend, tell a friend. Friends of your friends, friends of your enemies. Enemies of your friends and your enemies too.
Royalty.
Call up everybody.
There's so many of us.
Information is good.
See.
Keeping it to yourself, not so good.
Put the power in ourselves, create the franchise. In the news last week, another bomb overseas.
With me, I have no stranger to the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew, no stranger to community and finance, and no stranger to butting in. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Botinsky himself, the man who has been doing a lot of behind the scenes work. No pun intended. No relation, no link to his nickname either. A lot of behind the scenes work with what has been happening in Texas, bringing certain things to light as it relates to the judiciary and wrongful incarceration. And this man just never seems to rest. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the unmistakable David Fisher.
For a second there, I thought you were introducing a billy goat.
This guy.
I guess that's what I should have on my business card, Badinsky, and instead of like Paladin had the rook on the chess piece, a billy goat.
Well, it's you though. It's all
yeah, it
you.
is, because that billy goat, a ram is the symbol for Capricorn, and I'm a Capricorn, so I guess it does all kind of come together, doesn't it?
in its own little unique way, yes, it does.
Yeah, they say that God in His own wisdom, puts it all together.
So, David, boy, this year has been the year apparently where everybody is now recognizing, or people are starting to recognize the dirt that is being dug up.
Yeah, Texas is, things are coming apart in Texas. The foundation is beginning to crumble, and it's likely to get a whole lot worse here real fast. And it's likely to start crumbling in our governor's debate coming up here before November.
So we're talking about within the next 3 months.
Yeah, actually, probably in the next 2 months. Probably a little more than a month, because they generally don't do the debate right before, the election. But our governor and his challenger, Beto O'Rourke, have agreed to one debate.
This should be interesting.
Yeah. Well, it'll. Let's put it this way: it will define both candidates. It will expose Beto if he has a lick of sense. He's going to get everything handed to him on a silver platter, and if he's not smart enough to use it, then that'll be the last time he runs for an office in Texas.
Wow.
But what your listeners don't know, and some viewers on your YouTube channel, is our governor stepped into it with both feet last week. He appointed a police officer to the position on our Texas Law Enforcement Commission, and on this commission, he will be one of the members of the commission that review the law enforcement commissions of all of the officers who were at the Robb Elementary School shooting in May. Where this thing went wrong is the officer that Abbott appointed is under indictment and before a criminal district court right now for abusing and potentially assaulting protesters in the George Floyd protest a couple of years ago.
Mm.
And so this is where the Austin police officers tended to indiscriminately, in some situations, shoot these rubber bullets and beanbags
Yes.
at protesters that weren't doing anything. Several have suffered serious head injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And so this officer is under indictment.
Okay.
And from what I'm understanding is they got the cart in front of the horse. Abbott appointed a presiding judge out of San Antonio back in 2017, and then he reappointed him for a second term in September of 2021. This judge has been assigned to preside over the trial of this police officer.
Mm.
From what I'm understanding, the judge was supposed to have dismissed the criminal indictment against this police officer before they linked the word that Abbott had appointed the officer to the Law Enforcement Commission. But as the gremlins would have it, that may have been the way it was planned, but that's not the way that it happened. So the appointment broke in the press before the indictment was dismissed. And I saw it coming. And so last Sunday,
Yes.
I filed a particular request. You see, in Texas, we're a big state, spread out everywhere.
Right.
And so our state is divided up into 11 administrative judicial regions.
Okay.
Each region has a presiding judge that the governor appoints,
Yes.
and then he's an administrative judge. Whenever in the counties that are in his region, if a judge is sick, infirmed, has an emergency, and can't do his administrative duties,
Yes.
or his judicial duties, the administrative judge will appoint a visiting retired or a senior judge to fill in
Mm-hmm.
until the elected judge can retake the bench. Or if the judge has a conflict, when as an attorney before he became a judge, he represented the defendant as an attorney in another case, so he can't preside over the trial without showing bias. Anyway, there's a number of reasons why a judge would recuse themselves or not be able to handle a trial. And that's where the administrative judge comes in.
Okay.
Now, there is a law, a rule, that all 50 states in the United States has, and the U.S. has too. If you're an officer of any division of government from the feds on down,
Mm-hmm.
if you have the authority to appoint another officer, you may never appoint yourself to a position.
Okay.
It's inherently a conflict of interest. And thus, it is forbidden under all 50 states' constitutions and the U.S. Constitution.
Okay.
So here we have a problem. We have an administrative judge in Bexar County that covers all counties southward and westward to the border and over a little bit. And then you have Austin is in Travis County, and it is in a different judicial region. Travis County is in the 3rd administrative region, and San Antonio is in the 4th administrative region.
Okay.
So how did the administrative judge of the 4th region get assigned to a court in the 3rd region without violating the Constitution?
Whoa, wait. So the administrative judge, who is the judge that appoints other judges,
Mm-hmm.
gets appointed in another region?
Right, to sit as a judge.
But
who has the case of this officer who Abbott appointed to our law enforcement commission.
okay, just for a little bit of clarity, once again, the administrative judge no longer presides over cases?
No, he's still presiding over his court too, simultaneously at the same time. He's presiding over his region while he's serving as a judge in the adjacent region, while that administrative judge is still presiding over his own region.
Huh?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I see this coming. So I file what is known as a Rule 12 request. Now that is a records request for judges, for the judiciary.
Mm-hmm.
See, judges are exempt from the Texas Open Records Act, but the judiciary has its own Open Records Act. Most people don't know that. It's called Judicial Rule 12.
Okay.
So I filed a Judicial Rule 12 request with the presiding judge of the 3rd region that includes, Austin and Travis County. And I requested all of the requests for assignment that the 3rd administrative judge made to the 4th administrative judge, to request the 4th administrative judge to assign himself to the 3rd administrative judge's region for reassignment by the administrative judge of the 3rd region. Now, yeah, that's
a whole lot.
Yeah, that's a twist. So you're asking, one guy's asking the next door neighbor to assign himself to the requesting neighbor's house so the requesting neighbor can put him to work. Okay. So that's unconstitutional in Texas and every state in the Union, and including the United States. So I've already got records. I already know what they've done in the past because I pulled them in the past.
Right.
I pull files when I see a problem coming, I pull the files in advance to be ready. And I pull these records, back earlier this year, January timeframe.
Okay.
Because I saw trouble coming. So I specifically date my request to the administrative judge of the 3rd region. I want all requests for assignments for this particular judge in San Antonio from April 1st of 2022 to August, 8th of 2022. Now, that's not a very wide window.
Right.
I don't care about the window because I know already when the assignment took place. I ask specifically from April 1st, 2022 forward, because a lot of your listeners will recognize what April 1st is.
Yeah. We know
It's
April 1st.
Fool's Day. That's right. And so what the 3rd administrative judge does is he sends me the assignment order for this judge in the 4th region to the 3rd region from 2018.
Now, you sent me some documents. Let me see if I can find this one and pull it up.
Yeah, this one is the first one in that package of the first email I sent you.
Right. Abbott chooses Harrell for...
No, that's the appointment. The next one is the assignments. The
records request. Here it is. Records request.
Okay, yeah, that's my records request. Now the third PDF should have the assignments in it.
No, the other one is Prieto bail bonds versus state.
No, that's the case. I got to pull this up. I should have had this already pulled up on my computer.
Governor
the next
appoints
one is
Harrell and
assignment. There it is. There. Well, that may be a request. The first page of the PDF file we're after is an assignment by the Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court.
And I read that one too,
Dated February February of 2018.
Let me see if this one is it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, here's what happened. David sent me, let's see, what was it? 3 emails. One of them is a series of articles that the Fort Worth Weekly had put out from April 14
From March. I think it's March.
to July.
It's 7 articles, maybe 8.
8
from,
of them.
Yeah, but 7 that are specifically about the judges starting in March, I believe. It could be April. Let me see. Oh, no wonder I can't find it. I'm looking in the inbox, and I should be looking in the sent box.
There we go.
Okay, so well, my email flips over. There we go. And since I just sent this out earlier today,
Right, so
I have that pulled
okay.
up. So yeah, the first article, you're right. The first article was April 13th.
Right. So July 13th.
Yes. Yes. And these are a series of articles. The weekly newspaper magazine in Fort Worth is writing about the same issue up there. And this Wednesday comes out the Hammer article.
Mm.
And it is ugly. And this is we have a high-profile murder case going on in Fort Worth. A police officer is charged with murder and shooting a black woman through her bedroom window while she's playing video games with her nephew.
Mm-hmm.
Without identifying himself or anything.
Right.
Well, the administrative judge in Fort Worth, which is in the 8th administrative region, appointed a judge to recuse or remove the elected judge from that trial. And then right after he did this, he appointed this judge. He was reappointed to another 4 years by Governor Abbott as the presiding judge for the 8th region. And then a couple of days after that reappointment, he appointed another judge to preside over the Jefferson, the African-American woman's, murder trial. Her name is Jefferson.
Yes.
Atilana Jefferson. Okay, well, here's the problem. The judge didn't take the oath of office for the appointment from Abbott.
Mm.
So he has no authority to appoint or do anything. He is no longer the administrative judge. He's no different than a drunk walking in off the street and sitting down in front of a bench.
And we have been talking about these judges not taking the oaths since we first started talking in 2019. But
right,
you have been addressing this from before.
Right. That's when one of these retired judges, without taking the oath, signed an execution order and had a death row inmate executed in 2019, August 2019.
That's Larry Swearingen.
Right. And then another retired senior judge signed an execution order and tried to have Rodney Reed executed that same year of 2019. I caught that judge and gave the documents to our local TV station, and they broke it in the news, and that stopped Reed's second execution. The same judge tried to execute him in 2015, and I tagged the judge back then and stopped that execution too. But there was actually a third judge who tried to execute an inmate up in Northeast Texas, but the Court of Criminal Appeals stopped that one. And they stopped it on the grounds that the death row defendant was mentally incompetent to be executed.
Mm.
But so in 1 year, 3 retired judges with no oaths tried to execute 3 inmates in Texas.
One was successful.
One was successful. Now, 2 of the death row inmates that were on that list of the 3 that retired judges without oaths tried to execute, two of them were represented by Barry Scheck.
And the Innocence Project.
Yes. And one of them was the guy who was executed, and the other one was Rodney Reed that they were going to let get executed too if I hadn't stepped in.
Right.
This is why I've been warning ever since we've been doing these programs. Barry Scheck is not who you think he is. And that Innocence Project is a political operation.
Not to say they all are, but this one has not yet proved its worth.
This one has started out probably legitimately.
Yes.
And has gone over to the dark side where they negotiate with the state on
who gets off and who stays.
Who they get to represent. The state, remember, it's the state that pays Barry Scheck to represent these inmates. So Barry Scheck's, operation gets money and they get prestige, and they don't represent the inmates, they represent themselves. And if the state wants the inmate dead, Barry Scheck and his bunch will just stand aside and let them be executed, as they did in Swearingen and they tried to do with Reed.
Right.
Now, people out there, you say, oh, Barry Scheck wouldn't do that. They wouldn't dare do that. You're lying. Well, about less than 3 months after this retired judge signed the order and executed Larry Swearingen, he was appointed to preside over Rodney's case. This is a judge that presided over Rodney Reed's 2-week evidentiary hearing, motion for a new trial, the last 2 weeks of July 2021. And guess who was sitting at Reed's table front and center?
Barry Scheck.
Barry Scheck himself. And I warned them repeatedly that this same judge had not taken the oaths for the assignment to Reed's case either. Did they raise it? No.
But not only did you warn it, but you also gave them proof.
I gave them the documents, the backup, all of it. The same documentation I gave Bryce Benjett in 2015, and because Bryce Benjett in late 2014 was going to let Rodney get executed in March 2015, I had Bryce's co-counsel with the Innocence Project, Quincy McNeil.
Yes.
I've known Quincy since he was a reporter with Fox News in Austin. And so I had Quincy file the same records request with the courts to get, with the Secretary of State, to get the oaths for the judge, Doug Shaver, who signed Reed's execution order. I asked him, hey, Quincy, file the same records request I did with the Secretary of State and see what you get, and send me your copy so I can compare them to see if the Secretary of State's telling me the truth. So he did. What the Secretary of State told Quincy, and I have the copies of the email, that this judge Doug Shaver, who signed Reed's execution order, hadn't filed an oath of office since 1999, and this was in 2015.
But
now, did Quincy run to Bryce and go, oh my God, this judge hasn't taken an oath of office in 15 years for any case he's presided over? Nope. And that's when I filed a complaint with our Commission on Judicial Conduct, challenging the judge's authority to sign an execution order in a case where he's never taken the oath to preside over the case in the first place.
Now, for those that think that this is a one-off thing, that it might have been a slip-up, an oversight.
Fluke
Here
or just one bad apple.
Yeah. But here it is. We're talking about the same thing now with this particular issue that was raised. I found the article. Let me see here. Before I do that, let me go ahead and part company with those on Clubhouse and Facebook Live. Thank you guys for tuning in. Come on over to kevinstew.com for the remainder of the broadcast, or those of you that are listening in on the affiliate stations, thank you very much. Go ahead, call a friend, tell a friend, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends, and your enemies too, because one day one of them might be incarcerated in Texas, and this might be the information to get you out. You don't know what is happening in your state or your neck of the woods. So, information is good. you can't put a dollar value on it, share it with everybody. All right, let me go ahead and end that with Facebook Live. Thank you very much. And with Clubhouse, thank you guys very much also. All right, Fish. So here we are. And we're now looking at a similar case where here's a judge assigned to this police officer's case. Let me see. Honorable Sid Harrell, 226 Criminal District Court, Case State versus Dan Gattis.
Right. This is now what this is an order from the Chief Justice of the Texas Civil Supreme Court. Texas has two Supreme Courts. They have equal standing. One's for civil cases, one's for criminal cases. The Civil Supreme Court judge presides over all administrative judges, retired, visiting or senior.
Right.
The Court of Criminal Appeals, the Supreme Court, only presides over the judges that are before the criminal courts. But the administrative judge for all of the regions is the Civil Supreme Court judge. In this case, it's Nathan Heck. So what Kevin is reading from is the order from the Chief Justice of the Civil Supreme Court back in February 2018, assigning the presiding judge of the 4th Administrative Region out of San Antonio to the 3rd Administrative Region, which includes Austin, to preside over the trial of Dan Gattis. But see, Dan Gattis isn't just anybody. He's the Republican county judge for Williamson County.
Oh, okay.
This is a political appointment.
Oh, all right. So
now but the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has no constitutional or statutory authority to do what he's doing. He has no authority to assign an administrative judge into another region or to the bench. Nobody can, because it's unconstitutional in our state and all 49 other states and in the United States federal government as well. This is a universal law that if you are an officer of any state or the federal agency, if you have the authority to appoint an officer, you cannot self-appoint or be appointed to that which you preside over, because it's inherently a conflict of interest.
Okay, so here is...
So he issues the order for Sid Harrell. He assigns him to the 3rd region. Now look at the next document. Right after the Supreme Court judge issues that order, Sid Harrell, who is the presiding judge of the 4th region, signs an order that says, I hereby assign Sid Harrell of the 4th Administrative Region to the 3rd Administrative Region to be reassigned to a case so ordered by Sid Harrell. He's self-appointing himself.
Let me go ahead and put this up, because people hearing you say it, they're going to think, no, he's making this up. All right, look. Here we go. Here we go, people. Order of assignment. As you are looking at my video screen right now. Order of assignment. Pursuant, let me see if the date is on this. Okay, 4th Administrative Judicial Region of Texas, Order of Assignment. Pursuant to Chapter 74, Texas Government Code, I hereby assign Judge Sid L. Harrell, Senior Judge of the 226th District Court, to the 3rd Administrative Judicial Region under the following terms and condition. General Assignment. The judge is assigned beginning September 4, 2018. In addition, if the judge begins a trial on the merits during this period of assignment, the assignment continues until plenary jurisdiction has expired, or the presiding judge of the 4th region has terminated this assignment in writing, whichever occurs first. This assignment will be maintained in the office of the presiding judge of the 3rd Administrative Judicial Region. Signed September 4th, 2018, Sid L. Harrell, presiding judge, 4th Administrative Judicial Region.
Now, so people understand, an assignment is an appointment under the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different word meaning the same thing. If a judge assigns someone to a court, under the Constitution, he's appointing that person to the court. An assignment is the same thing as an appointment under the rulings of our Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sid Harrell is appointing himself from the 4th region to the 3rd region to be for the 3rd region judge to then appoint him to a political trial involving the Republican county judge for that same county, Dan Gaddis. It's illegal as sin.
But yesterday they did it.
Yeah, they did it. But you see, you got to be careful when you're doing stuff like this and make sure you understand the ramifications of the statutes and the Constitution. That's why I filed that request for all assignments of Sid Hall from the 4th region to the 3rd region starting April 1st, 2022. There aren't any.
Right.
They had to go back to 2018.
Right.
Now, here's what the government code says under Chapter 74. If a judge is requested to be assigned from one region to another region, that judge stays in the region to which he's assigned until his assignment is lifted.
Okay.
So, you notice that there doesn't appear to be any orders in there to lift the assignment of Sid Harrell back in 2018. And that's the only assignment order placing himself in the 3rd Administrative Region, which means what they have backdoor admitted to is Sid Harrell's assignment to the 3rd Region has never been lifted since 2018, which kills everything he's done as an administrative judge in the 4th Region from 2018 to current.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right.
That's crazy.
And that's a lot of cases and a lot of big political cases.
Because in the 4th region, he is an administrative judge. So he has been assigning judges as well as presiding.
Right. That's his sole duty, is to appoint judges and move cases around in where there's a backlog of cases.
Yes.
In the courts in his administrative region. He's not a sitting judge. He's an administrative judge. He can never take the bench.
Then what's he doing taking the bench in the 3rd region?
He can't take the bench in the 3rd region because he can't assign himself to the 3rd region. And he, as an administrative judge, if he assigns himself to the 4th region, from the 4th to the 3rd region, he places himself under the authority of the administrative judge of the 3rd region. It'd be just like the governor of New York placing herself under the authority of Greg Abbott. Yeah, let's see that happen. Or have Greg Abbott place himself under the authority of the governor of New York. You want to see a cat fight?
But okay, so here it is. This happened, and nobody, just you. Nobody else saw this. Nobody else paid attention to this.
No attorney in this state would dare raise this issue if they saw it or not.
Because
the judges would come after them, as I've been repeatedly, telling your listeners. In Texas, the judges appoint the attorneys to cases. If you challenge a judge, they'll just put a phone call out to all the other judges, and nobody will appoint you to a case again, and you'll go out of business. Or they'll drum up somebody, a patsy, to file a state bar charge or some other charge against you, and the state bar, which, oh, by the way, is administered by the judges of the Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court.
These are the same judges.
Yeah, the judges control the whole system in Texas. They control your defense. They control the state bar. They control the Commission on Judicial Conduct. They control everything.
So, if they're the foxes in charge of the hen house, then...
Yes, and they also own Pilgrim's food processing chicken plant, too. Yeah, it's just not the fox in charge of the hen house. They own they own Pilgrim's Fried chicken processing plant, too.
So, they're the mafia.
Pretty much.
That's crazy.
It is.
So when
and
you
this
go ahead,
is Texas, second largest nation, second largest state in the nation.
Yes.
In the 21st century, and this is exactly what you would have expected, during, prior to the Civil War, where the judges run everything. They make the law. They run everything.
Now, if I didn't show this order just now, people would have thought that you were making it up.
People don't know me, maybe.
Well, yeah.
But if you know me, you know what I tell you, I have the documentation to back it up. And my files are extensive.
So, okay, who is Stubblefield?
Stubblefield is the presiding judge of the 3rd region. He's on the same level as is Sid Harrell. He's the judge who presides over all the courts in the 3rd region. He is also an appointee of Greg Abbott's, the governor.
So, Sid Harrell is the administrative judge over criminal cases?
All cases, all courts, from the JP courts all the way to the criminal courts in those counties in Texas under the 4th region.
So, Stubblefield is in charge of what then?
He's the presiding judge of all the counties in the 3rd region. See, there are 11 regions.
Okay.
There are 11 judges, all appointed by the governor.
Okay. Yeah, Stubblefield is 3rd, Harrell is 4th.
Right.
Cool. Right. So...
And then Bastrop, which is right next to Austin, is in the 2nd administrative region. And the presiding judge of that region offices out of Montgomery County, where Swearingen was executed.
Mm.
Now, we have a problem in that one, too, with its presiding judge.
What's the problem there?
The Abbott just appointed a new presiding judge in May of this year, 2022.
Okay.
Problem is, he appointed the sitting criminal district attorney to one of the counties in that region, while the guy's still the criminal district attorney of that county. Under our government code, that Chapter 74 that Sid Harrell was being assigned to from the 4th region to the 3rd region by the Chief Justice.
Yes.
By the way, there is no authority under Chapter 74 or Chapter 75 or any other chapter allowing the Chief Justice to do that. But under, no, nobody reads. They just say it, and then nobody goes and reads. Well, this boy does.
Oh, let's just go ahead and make it up as we go along. We can say that under the authority of. Yeah. Make it sound.
In other words,
official.
As if we were at a used car lot. Trust me.
Right.
Just trust me. It's a good car. Just trust me.
Wow.
Yeah, we know how that works, don't we?
Unfortunately, we do.
Yeah, we most certainly do. So, anyway, the governor appoints the sitting criminal district attorney to become the presiding judge of the Second Administrative Judicial Region. Now, under Chapter 74 of the Government Code, under authority for the governor to assign a presiding judge, he can only appoint a sitting judge or a retired senior judge. Who has on file notice of his willingness to serve as a senior judge in retirement.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that part. Yes.
Yeah, you have to officially file a notice with the state that you are agreeing to serve as a senior visiting judge out of retirement upon order by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, or in this case, by the governor.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, it's true that this person that Abbott appointed at one time for about 6 months was a retired judge who signed the documents to be a senior judge, willing to serve on willingly serve on assignment as a visiting judge. But within 6 months, he's appointed by our former governor, Rick Perry, to the position of criminal district attorney in that same county that Donnie Walker lives in, by the way.
Mm.
Yes, it is it's a big state, but it's still a small state. So when the retired judge then is appointed back to a position as a criminal district attorney, he withdraws his willingness to serve on assignment as a retired judge because he can no longer do it. He's now part of the prosecution side of the state. He's a prosecutor. He's no longer a judge. Can't take the bench. So his notice of willingness
who is supposed to be
serve,
impartial.
Yeah, his willingness, the documents he signed notifying the state and the presiding judge of his willingness to serve as a senior judge was withdrawn. So there's no power or authority for Abbott to appoint him to the presiding judge position. And see, what Abbott did is he just defrauded all the voters of that county that voted for their district attorney to serve out his term as criminal district attorney. Abbott just took him away and put him as a administrative judge, political appointee under his authority. So right now, the citizens of that county have a criminal district attorney that they had nothing to do with electing or appointing.
But
Abbott appoints the new district attorney there, so he controls, both positions. See, it's just, and you can't do it, and it doesn't stop him from doing it. And remember, our governor used to be our attorney general. That's supposed to be smart enough to know this.
Well, clearly he is smart enough to know this and bold enough,
powerful enough to tell everybody, keep your mouth shut, or I'll dig a hole and put you in it.
Apparently, because, Texas has a lot of ground. You can put a hole just about anywhere.
We have a lot of abandoned oil wells that need to be plugged.
Yeah, you could end up in a hole anywhere.
Yeah.
But, Fish, see, these are the things that are boggling my mind. Because it's not like it's not like something that is hidden away somewhere. This is out in public view. This is happening in everybody's faces.
Right. I just had a long conversation with an editor of a newspaper here in Texas that has one of these, in his city, where there was a city council election, and the sitting city council member lost the election by just a few votes.
Okay.
So she sued, to have a recount, and the judge whose court it was assigned to recused himself. Billy Ray Stubblefield, because this is in his region, assigned a retired visiting judge to the case who filed a false oath with the Secretary of State and then dismissed the lawsuit of the city council member who filed the suit in the first place, or he's in the process of doing it. I mean, he hasn't done it yet. He's already told everybody that he's going to do it before there's even a hearing.
Wait. What do you mean filed a false oath?
Well, in that first article that of that series, the one in April 13th,
yes,
from the Fort Worth Weekly, when you open the article, the first thing you see is one of the two oaths in Texas that all officers have to file. It's called a statement of officer.
Okay.
And that form that the judge signed is a manufactured form. It has never existed in reality in Texas. It's a made-up form where the judge removes the part of that part that is required under the official oath in Texas, that you have to swear this statement of officer, which is the anti-bribery statement under penalty of perjury. Well, they remove the swearing under penalty of perjury, write their own.
This is the one with Daryl Coffey.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and post up.
This judge that was just assigned to this city council case did the same thing. He manufactured that same oath, which is like, wait a minute, how can a judge, now that Coffey's oath was signed back in 2014, right? And then here we are, December 13th, 2021. This appeals court retired judge files this same bogus oath that's manufactured, that the state has never created before, and files it with the Secretary of State, which is a stupid thing to do.
Apparently, it isn't so stupid because
it is if you get caught, because it's a falsified state record. It's a third-degree felony.
Well, has he been caught? Yeah, apparently he hasn't. Just like Coffey.
Yeah, he's caught. He just hasn't. He hasn't. He hadn't been challenged. See, I've caught him, and see. Anyway, what I was going to is the editor of the paper's gone, wait a minute, David, are you telling me that judges have been doing this all over the state for 22 years?
Yes.
And nobody's ever called them on it? And I go, yeah, so that doesn't make sense to anybody with any common sense.
But this was exactly what I am saying, no.
Exactly right. And he's like, no, this can't happen. I go, yeah, it is. That's the scary part, is it defies common sense. Because... And the common sense is only common if you trust the system without ever verifying. You see, it's like you're absolutely going opposite of what Ronald Reagan told everybody: trust but verify.
Yeah.
And so therein lies the problem. Everybody's trusting these judges, and they're not verifying what they're doing is legal. That's right. And the attorneys. The defense attorneys are being, if one of the defense attorneys goes, Your Honor, I don't think you took the oath, and says, yes, file something and see what happens to yourself.
That part.
Yeah. Just when you do this, before you file anything against me,
think about your future.
Ask yourself this question. Where's Jimmy Hoffa?
You're wrong for that, David.
Yeah, I'm notorious for not having any boundaries. So.
But it's pretty much in line with that question, though.
Right, it is. That is it's a little joke, but in essence, that's what the judges are telling the attorneys. Raise this at your own peril, and remember, us judges stick together.
Yeah, it's the good old boys club.
That's right. And, in New Jersey, they may put a horse head in your bed.
That's what they do in Jersey. I think that's
Huh?
what I thought. I would think
that's the Godfather. I guess that was Jersey.
Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. So Texas, it's a cow head. But this, I'm trying, I'm trying to make it light, lighthearted. But no, this is how corrupt the system is. You only get the justice that the judges decide you're due based on who you are. Oh, you're a person of color. You only have a high school education. You're not part of our system. So you don't deserve any justice.
Mm.
I mean, you take a look at Atalania, I never can say that right, Jefferson, the woman who was shot by the Fort Worth police officer. Yeah. I mean, they're picking they're maneuvering and removing judges to get the one that they want to preside over that case, which will pretty much guarantee you that the police officer is going to get the justice that they decide he's due.
Not the justice actually due, but the justice they decide.
What they've decided.
So, all right. You have one police officer under indictment being assigned to.
Actually, there's four.
Eh?
That there were three others with this officer but those are just regular Austin police officers who haven't been appointed by the governor to any special position, but all will be treated the same way by this Judge Sid Harrell. If he dismisses the charges against one, he'll dismiss them against all four. And then there are another 15 that have also been indicted. And if one goes, they all go. Because they're all accused of doing the same thing. Abusing the protesters in excessive force.
So the deck is stacked.
Yeah. And so
if I wasn't looking at some of these documents, I would think this is all made up.
Yeah, I mean, you would, because it's so bizarre. Wait a minute, none of this could happen in the real world, not in today's, I mean, you got computers, records are easily accessible.
Yes.
None of the media would ever ignore any of this, and there you have it.
No.
These are all documents obtained, and the paper trail you have from the administrative judge, from the Texas Secretary of State, who records all state officers' oaths and judges, district court, and and above judges, all their oaths are filed with the Secretary of State. Now, as bad as all this is, it gets even more bizarre.
Bring it on, Fish. Bring it on.
Okay, here it is. Okay, Sid Harrell was appointed by Governor Abbott to be the presiding judge of the 4th Region back in 2017.
Okay.
To serve a 4-year term as the administrative judge for that 4th Region.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was reappointed to another 4 years in September 2021.
Okay.
Sid Harrell hadn't taken the oath of office for either one of those appointments. And see, as a judge, if you don't take the oaths, you're not a judge, and everything you do is void and a nullity. So Sid Harrell has never had the title of administrative judge of the 4th Region because he's never taken the oath of office.
Well, not officially. Well, because okay, so all right, okay. So let's say he doesn't take the oath. He probably went to do it and something happened and it didn't get to follow through. They forgot. Whatever.
Twice
it rained.
in 5 years.
Hey, listen, these things happen. You know, all these cases that have been presided over, you're going
Oh,
to.
okay, Kevin. You saw the internet video from Lubbock, Texas, where a guy shoots the ex-husband of his girlfriend on video camera.
Yes.
Sid Harrell presided over that case and dismissed the charges against the shooter.
Oh, that was him.
He assigned himself from the 4th region. Lubbock is in the 9th administrative judicial region.
How did he get involved in that one?
Because he is the administrative judge that the Supreme Court Chief Justice in the political division of the Republican Party
Yes.
assigns to political cases around the state. So what was so political about that shooting that's openly on videotape that's been shown to everybody?
Yeah, this businessman that, had his affair with his secretary, and the man came on the property, and
Well, that the shooter is also married and going through divorce with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just before the shooting in November of last year, Greg Abbott appointed the shooter's wife to a district court bench in Lubbock.
Oh, that was a connection.
There it is. Yeah,
I forgot about that part.
He is the husband of a newly appointed district court judge in Lubbock, appointed by Abbott, who's going through a divorce with his wife. Oh, yes. And guess who now is assigned over the divorce case with the kids of the shooter and his judge wife?
It can't be.
Yeah, it is Sid Harrell.
Nah.
Oh,
It can't be. He's an administrative judge. How can he be presiding over this?
And he's also, the family, the videotape of the shooting was videotaped by the decedent's new wife, who was in the car waiting for her husband to pick up his son,
right,
that his ex-wife was supposed to turn over to him for their weekend visitation. She's sitting in the car with her son, and they both view the shooting. She is suing the shooter's estate for wrongful death. Guess who's presiding over that case, the wrongful death suit, too?
Not Sid
Harrell.
Sid Harrell.
Yep.
You know, Fish, you need to stop making up these stories. you just...
Yeah, I'm just right up there next to Dr. Seuss writing fairy tales.
And they say Texas is a real
place. Instead of the Cat in the Hat, we got the judge in a robe. Now I just have to get that singy-songy rhythmic cadence of telling the story.
There's nothing real about any of this.
This stuff is crazy, and this is why, I'm talking to the editor of this newspaper. He's going, you can't honestly be trying to tell me that, this is actually going on, and it's been going on for years, and nobody's ever called it. I mean, seriously, it defies logic, Fisher. And I go, yeah, I know. Wait till you see the records.
and that's just it. Because even on these records, they're blatantly saying, hey, look at me. I'm doing this.
Right. You see, and look how blatantly. You have the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court assigning an administrative judge from one region to another. And he's citing the government code that gives him the power to do it, and then you go read that statute, and there's no such power granted. Then you read it again, you go, well, what the hell is he talking about? There's no authority in here for him to do what he's doing.
So let me ask you this. Who has the power to question the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court?
You're talking to him. As a citizen of this state, I have the right and duty to challenge him when he breaks the law.
Oh, that part.
Yeah. Now, so who else? Well, the Commission on Judicial Conduct has authority over him, except for, wait a minute, a Supreme Court judge is assigned to oversee the Commission on Judicial Conduct. So, like the mafia, the people in charge of enforcement are Brother Guido. I mean, seriously, it's that bad. So, if you're me, what I have to do is monitor this stuff, see the cracks coming way ahead of time, and then position myself to be there when the hammer falls. When one of these big people stumble and do something really stupid that I can really go after, and that's what the governor did.
But Fish, all of it is something stupid that you can really go after, because there's a proof.
Because you have to have it's got to be stupid enough that the media takes notice.
And you want to tell me that something like not filing your oath as an administrative judge, I can't even get it out, as an administrative judge for the past, since, 2017?
Right, and here's why.
For the past 5 years, you twice.
If I give this to a reporter, they call their local attorney that they deal with.
Yes.
That's prominent, that gets a lot of appointments by the judges.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, hey, yeah, Fisher's given us this. Oh, no, that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not an attorney. That stuff's been resolved long ago. One of those little numbnuts tried to pull that crap on me, not realizing who he's talking to. Just recently, just a couple of months ago.
Okay,
now,
I get it.
Do you know where this attorney, what he's assigned to do right now that pulled this crap on me?
What's that?
He's the attorney who's appointed to prosecute our attorney general for his security cards violations 5 years ago.
What?
Yep. And he tried to tell me, oh, Fisher, you don't know what you're talking about. The courts resolved that a long time ago, years ago. They've already, and I said, you don't know what you're talking about. Remember who you're talking to. What? I said, you're talking to me, Dave Fisher. You're talking to me. Oh, well, yeah, click. And he's appointed to prosecute our attorney general, and has been for 5 years, and it's never gotten to court. For our attorney general is under federal security fraud indictments of multiple felonies. He could go to prison for years.
If it happens to get
If
prosecuted.
they ever get it to trial, but nobody's pushing. And this is a guy who's one of the two attorneys that's appointed to prosecute him. I know both of them. And both of them are players in this system that get a lot of court appointments. Oh, wait a minute. One of those attorneys represents your DWI suspect out of Montgomery County in that car crash that we talked about a couple of times back.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious.
I got a question here by text. How is this information? How does it connect or implicate the race? That's the governor's debate and the race for the gubernatorial race coming up.
Okay, here's how it affects it. Our governor has agreed to one debate with Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah.
There are certain state news organizations that sponsor the debate, and their reporters are the ones that do the questioning.
Okay.
One of those news organizations has reported this issue about Abbott appointing this police officer's under indictment to be on the Law Enforcement Commission. So as the truth comes out, and you see that it covers, that this also reflects on the governor's appointing corrupt judges to be the administrative judges to control political cases, and we start seeing the dominoes start line up. So I think either side gets to submit certain questions that they want to be asked in the debate.
Yes.
This is what I'm talking about. If Beto's got his head on straight,
Gotcha.
what do you think that he should? What issues do you think should be coming up? Governor Abbott's appointment of
Definitely.
these people who don't take the oaths, that
Definitely.
are judges. That's how it gets into the governor's race.
Definitely. Now, as it relates to criminal cases, because again, it comes out that any of these judges have not taken their oath. Anything that they've presided over, any judgments they have made, these are null and void.
Well, it's more than that. You see, under the U.S. Constitution, all criminal, both civil and criminal defendants
Yes.
that are charged in the courts, we have what's known as Article 14 of the Texas Constitution. It's called the Due Process Clause, that every citizen of this state is afforded the right to an honest judiciary and the due process of law. These judges that are illegally on the bench are depriving all the defendants of their federal civil right due process rights. Which means you get some people complaining to the Department of Justice, and they get a hold of these records. The FBI and the Justice Department will be here in Texas raiding somebody's bedroom closet and safe.
My question is, as you raise that point, why is it not yet happening?
Because, again, the media doesn't know it, because the attorneys that they believe in have been poo-pooing them. So when I get all the documents together, all the records together that I can present, like the ones I gave to you, when the editors read this, I go, son of a bitch, he's right. The judge, here you have the Supreme Court assigning an administrative judge to preside over, a political trial in another region. And he cites his authority as being certain chapters under the government code. But if you go to those chapters and you read them,
there's no such
authority to do to what they're saying they're doing. Now, in that email I sent you that you're reading off of the PDFs,
yes,
go down to the bottom of the written part of the email in blue, and you see chapter 74 point something something that I cite, that says that once a judge is assigned to another region, he has to stay in that region until his assignment is lifted.
Right.
And if his assignment isn't lifted, he can complain one time to the Supreme Court Chief Justice, who may or may not lift the assignment. And if he doesn't lift the assignment, you're stuck there until it's released. That's the trick about the way I worded that Rule 12 records request, starting at April 1st coming forward. Well, this year, the presiding judge of the 4th region hasn't been assigned to the 3rd region to be assigned to a court. The last time that was done was in 2018 illegally.
So,
which means that he's been locked here. You're backdoor admitting that his assignment was never lifted from 2018. So if the assignment was legal, you see what happens?
Okay, so if the assignment was legal, then he needs to still be in the
He's no longer the administrative judge of the 4th region, because he can't. Everything he's done as the administrative judge of the 4th region since that assignment by the Chief Justice, it's all been void and illegal, because he's assigned to the 3rd region. Now, there's another trick here.
Yeah.
The Texas Constitution has a particular section that deals with this. It's Article 16, Section 40. And under Article 16, Section 40, only officers that are exempted under the Constitution can hold 2 appointments for profit at the same time. No judge, except a justice of the peace, has that authority. So no district court judge can hold 2 positions of pay at the same time. Well, the administrative judge of the regions, like Sid Harrell,
yes.
Sid Harrell receives a salary from the state of $114,550 a year to act as the administrative judge of the 4th region. If he assigns himself to a bench, a district court bench, he gets $500 a day for every day he's on the bench, on top of his salary. It's well-established law in Texas that judges hold an office of profit. So if you appoint yourself to a bench as a judge, now you're holding the position as a presiding judge, an office of profit, and a sitting
administrative judge
over a court for profit. And see, our Constitution forbids that. But it gets better. If you violate Article 16, Section 40, you also violate Article 16, Section 33. And Section 33 says that if you're holding 2 offices of profit at the same time, in violation of Article 16, Section 40, no division of the state can pay you for either position. So all those monies you're accruing are accrued illegally. They're embezzlement from the state.
Ooh. So all right.
Yes. Ooh is right.
I'm trying to find the gray area, the shady spot, the loophole somewhere in this.
There isn't any. That's why I'm careful about how I request these documents. You see, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, these presiding judges, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't read the Constitution. They don't read the statutes. They've gotten so full of themselves because they've been doing it for decades that they don't believe that, that anybody needs to know the law, because they'll tell you what the law says and you're to believe them. Again, like the used car salesman, trust me. I know what's best for you.
Okay, let's go back to this assignment, this region hopping thing that Sid Harrell was doing. Let's say the assignment was not legal. That means that he didn't get moved from his administrative position, so he still holds that position.
Then that means that he was trespassing on a bench, impersonating a judge, and deprived the defendant, Dan Gaddis, of his U.S. 14th Amendment's right to due process and an honest judiciary, his day in court. He was deprived that. See another trap for you?
Yeah.
And you collect it and you bill the state for every money you were on the bench, and you were on the bench illegally as a trespasser, which means you file false invoices to obtain monies from the state under false pretenses, which is a felony. It's felony theft by deception.
So, all right.
And then anything you signed using the title of a judge of that court is a falsified state record, because you've never been the judge of that court. And see, I talked to a couple of district clerks last week where Sid Harrell has been,
yes,
and pointed out to the district clerks that under the government code, they have a statutory duty to make sure no trespassing judges trespass upon the courts under the authority of the district clerk. And the district clerk has the duty to go to the county attorney and demand the county attorney file what is known in Texas as all over the United States, a writ of quo wantro, which is the mechanism by which the county sues to remove somebody trespassing on the office of another officer illegally.
But that same writ was brought up in the 2021 evidentiary hearing for Rodney Reed.
Well, actually, it was in January 2020. 2020 or 2021? 2020. Doug Shaver was removed. Mm-hmm. J.D. Langley, the guy who executed Swearingen, was assigned to Reed's case with no oath. He held a first hearing in January 2020. The attorney for Rodney, Andrew McCrae, held a hearing and asked the judge to recuse himself from Rodney's case. The judge challenged him and says, have you filed a writ of quo wantro? Which Andrew McCrae
didn't know what he knew.
He didn't know what it was, and one of Rodney's confidants on the break, emailed me asking, what the hell is a writ of quo wantro? And so I immediately sent her back one of our AG opinions spelling out, and I sent her a Supreme Court ruling on writs of quo wantro. And since Rodney's attorney didn't know what one was, he didn't know that he can't file it. There are only 3 officers in Texas who can file a writ of quo wantro. The county attorney or district attorney in the county where the trespasser is trespassing on another office, like Bastrop County for Reed's case, would file the writ of quo wantro to remove J.D. Langley from trespassing on Judge Carlson's court, who is the elected judge to that court. Right. In Austin, the Travis County attorney or district attorney would file the writ of quo wantro because of Judge Sid Harrell's trespassing on the court overseeing the Justin Berry APD officers' abuse of the George Floyd protesters. The third member of the state who can file a writ of quo wantro is the Attorney General, who's one of the most corrupt people that has ever occupied an office in the state of Texas. And he's most certainly not going to challenge an appointed judge of the governors.
So, in a situation like this, if that writ is not then filed, and people know that it should be, and what happens when it doesn't get filed? It just goes by the way?
You see, this is a unique situation. See, and, I've been pushing this stuff for 20 years. And long ago learned that without a hammer, no matter how corrupt something is and how illegal it is, you're not going to get any media traction. There has to be a hook in it for the media. Well, there is now. You got the debates coming up. You got Abbott appointing a police officer under criminal investigation to preside over the Texas Law Enforcement Commission that licenses peace officers and is in charge with issuing their law enforcement commissions or killing their law enforcement commissions.
Yeah.
And this guy is appointed to the commission that will shortly be reviewing all of the law enforcement commissions of all of the officers that went to Robb Elementary and stood out in the hall for 70 minutes while the little kids bled to death and the teachers.
Yeah,
you see why the governor would want somebody he controls on that commission?
Yeah.
So, this is all politics. But you see, this is a bad time to be playing such a big political game in front of a midterm election where you're up for election and you're just a few points ahead of your challenger, your Democratic challenger, and you just handed him an atom bomb.
Now, does he go ahead and use it?
Yes. You know, is he smart enough to know how?
But
and honest enough to go ahead and use it.
That part. I was just gonna ask.
I don't know the answer.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have my questions because I have not seen him. There's a ton of stuff that he could have been raising for a long time this year, and there's none of it. I just see him go off on the most ridiculous things. I mean, when he went down and challenged the press conference, the first press conference after the shooting at Robb Elementary, there is a right place and a wrong place to do that, and that was absolutely the wrong place and the wrong time. On the first news conference after the shooting, to use it as a political tool, that's not the proper way to do things. And in Texas, it absolutely comes off wrong. Even to your own supporters, that's recognized that that's not the way to do that.
Yeah.
You rub salt in the wounds of all of those parents that lost their loved ones. They were after looking for information and facts and something, and then you get, the challenger for the governor's office run down there and turn it into a dog and pony show. No, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that was low down and dirty, really.
Yes, it was. That was low down. And so that's what I'm talking about. Now he's been handed another, and this one opens the doors to a lot of things, because if Beto has a campaign staff, and they start looking and getting a hold of and start looking at the people who Abbott has appointed and checking to see if they took the oaths of office for those appointments, boy, is he going to open a can of worms that I haven't even touched on yet.
But, okay, here's the thing, though. If he goes the noble route, then he's going to have to walk that same route if he wins the office.
It's not hard to do. You simply...
But fish.
Oh, well, I mean, if you want to play politics...
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you don't learn and recognize how the last goose got his head chopped off, you're destined to make that same mistake and find yourself in the same position.
But, ego and pride, yeah, he was dumb, he slipped up, he got caught. I am not going to get caught. That kind of mentality.
I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot that tells me that Beto O'Rourke is a particularly savvy individual.
I don't know the guy. I don't have an opinion either way. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, if he was a really smart guy, you would know him, because smart people tend to make themselves known by how they approach things. Like Beto has had just tons of stuff and free publicity simply by merely calling a press conference and raising them, because they're so egregious that if he merely raised them, the media would start ferreting out the facts. See, simply by me pointing out to the media that the judge who's assigned to preside over the police officer's criminal case is a political appointee of Abbott's who's there to dismiss the charges. And the message I'm getting out, my sources are telling me that this was an accident, that the judge was supposed to have dismissed the charges against the police officer Monday of last week.
So this case is still going on? The case is still pending?
Huh? Yeah, the case is still pending, and what apparently happened is Sid Harrell saw a chance to make $2,500. So he accepted having himself assigned to bench a week's worth of hearings for a judge who went on vacation in Williamson County. So every day he was on the bench last week, he was making $500 a day. So that's in Williamson County. He wasn't free to preside over the Austin bench where the police officers' charges were. Because according to the record, he was supposed to bench a hearing in that officer's case last Monday morning, August 8th. And the appointment of Governor Abbott wasn't supposed to come out until after Monday. Well, it got linked out with a big bunch of other appointments on Thursday, the week before.
And very few people caught it.
Yeah, I caught it. The Texas Tribune caught it and wrote a big Monday morning article about it. Big article. And then it was like gasoline thrown on a wheat field in Ukraine. It was on fire. There's a big fire.
Mm.
And so all, media all over the nation picked up on it. And then I went ahead and put the actual records out.
Right.
That shows that Sid Harrell is a political appointment of the governor's, who's illegally on that bench and who has been being appointed politically even by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court all the way back to 2018. But how am I going to get that cleanly into the record of the story that was released last Monday? Well, that's because I filed a records request with the presiding judge of the region for all of his requests for Sid Harrell to be assigned to the 3rd region, to be assigned to the Austin courts. And that forced the judge to go all the way back to 2018 on the records. And see, my request has to do with how Sid Harrell got on the bench to preside over this police officer's case.
Right.
Current. And the authority, they had to reach back to 2018.
That's a long way back.
That's right. And the order of assignment came from the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court, who cited a particular chapter of the government code that gave him authority to do it. And you read that chapter, and there's no such authority. Yes. And then the next record is Sid Harrell appointing himself from the 4th region that he presides over to the 3rd region,
so that he can be
appointed presided over by Stubblefield, to be assigned to a political case. Mm-hmm. And see, people in this Austin area, a lot of the political people remember the debacle with Gaddis, the county judge of Williamson County in 2018, that political trial. Only now to learn that the judge was illegally on the bench then on that political trial being put there by the Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court. You see how it's which is bigger. Mm-hmm. What the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court did as a political move to get the sitting county judge in Williamson County using Sid Harrell, and then the ramifications of that has given Sid Harrell illegally the power to preside over this police officer's indictment. That's back in the media. See, it's just, it's like a spider web. It goes everywhere, and when you get into it, it's sticking to your face and everything else. You know how awful it is to be walking at night and walk into a spider web?
Yeah.
Because when you hit that web, the spider's in there somewhere, and he's on you somewhere. And spiders have a propensity to bite.
Well,
and the more you try to wipe the web off, the worse it gets.
Fortunately for me here in South Florida, I don't have a lot of biting spiders to contend with.
Yeah, because you got that all that stashed up Florida snow in the trees.
Yeah. We grateful.
Sorry, that's a joke off the sign, audience. We can't go into it.
Yeah. Not tonight, anyway. Wait until winter rolls around again.
Yeah, we'll have to. Yes, that'll have to come up on another day. So, anywho, this now it's not just the story about the judge, the police officer being under indictment that Abbott has appointed. Now, it's now Abbott's appointments, his judges, his appointees not taking the oaths. And see, that leads us to the article that comes out Wednesday, the next article of the Fort Worth Weekly. You see, the presiding judge there was just reappointed by Abbott over the Jefferson murder trial on June 20th. But the judge hasn't taken the oath.
Okay.
Because the judge is already under investigation for tampering with assignment orders that are felonies for over 200 such felonies starting in 2015.
Oh, boy.
The current. That's coffee. That has to do with coffee.
Yes.
And even the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Nathan Heck, has told the Fort Worth Weekly that those assignments of coffee were illegal.
He has admitted to it?
Yes, because you see that if you look at that oath that's on that first article,
yes,
it says it's it's the statement of office for Judge Coffey as a senior judge.
Right, and we talked about this, him assigning himself, appointing himself.
Only the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court or the full Supreme Court can award this title senior judge to a retired judge. And the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court is saying neither he nor the court gave Coffey that assignment, gave him that title.
Right.
And without that title, he can't be assigned to a court. And thus, he's not entitled to any pay on any court that he sets over. And the presiding judge of the region has been assigning Coffey to over 200 felony cases since 2015 as a senior judge. So all those assignment orders are felonies. And then that allowed Coffey to embezzle from the state. Just last year, according to the Secretary of State, the Comptroller's office, Coffey billed the state over $100,000 for illegally sitting on benches last year as a senior judge.
When is this article coming out? And in which newspaper?
This Wednesday in the Fort Worth Weekly.
Now, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, since April 13 to July 13, the Fort Worth Weekly has been putting out these articles on retired judges. Right. There's April 13, April 28th, May 4th, May 12th, June 4th, June 20th. We have going into June 22nd and July 13. Those are the 8 articles, the date of the 8 articles that have been put out. Speaking on some level about these judges and oaths.
And you notice all the major media have kept their mouths shut.
That's crazy. It makes the Fort Worth Weekly look like they're grasping at straws.
Yeah. This one is the one that breaks the camel's back because it ties into Sid Harrell. And what Sid Harrell is appointed to do in that police officer's case who abused the George Floyd protesters, the criminal indictment of him. Well, Sid, the presiding judge of the 8th region in Fort Worth, was just reappointed by Abbott. Well, when I got the file in on July 27th from the Secretary of State, it shows that this Judge Evans that Abbott appointed back in 2018 didn't take the oath for that appointment as the presiding judge of that region, just like Sid Harrell. And he was reappointed to a second term on June 21st of this last June, and he didn't take the oath. But Saturday, the reporter with the Weekly got a letter in the mail from the presiding judge of the region. Inside that envelope were the 2 oaths of the presiding judge, file stamped by the Secretary of State, signed on June 21st and 22nd as the appointed judge of the administrative region.
But you said there were no oaths.
That's what the Secretary of State showed me in the documents they produced on July 27th. Well, I suspected immediately that these were frauds and told the reporter. And then Monday morning, the Secretary of State responded to the Fort Worth Weekly's request for Judge Evans' oath for his appointment as the presiding judge of the region, the new assignment on June 21st. No oaths.
So what was mailed?
Those were manufactured oaths by the judge, blowing smoke up the Weekly's butt, and got caught.
So the judge created these documents and then mailed them off to... There's so many federal...
Actually, physical U.S. mail, which constitutes mail fraud.
There's so many federal crimes broken here.
Oh, yes. And that's what this article come Wednesday is about. And so it falls right in to the other issues about Abbott's appointees being crooks, especially the judges. Well, let me tell you, if you've got a governor who used to be the attorney general for this state for more than a decade, God, how long was that? For 2002 to 15 years, almost 15 years as attorney general for the state.
Mm-hmm.
And he is appointing corrupt judges to run the courts, all the courts in this state, and the judges won't take the oaths, nor will any of the retired or visiting judges they're assigning. And these judges are now so blatant and so bold, they start signing execution orders on inmates, having no authority to even be on the bench.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of God's gift to Beto.
Yeah. But again, like I said,
In Texas we have a saying about that. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yes. And my other thing is, if he does use it, then he will have to walk the straight and narrow.
Oh yeah, when you take a stand in front of God and the world, you kind of create a line over which you dare not cross. But see, that's what Texas has been needing. But you see, it's not just the governor who's caught now. All of our representatives and senators are being called on the carpet for not watching, because see, especially the senators, because Abbott has appointed these judges, while the legislature has been off. These 3 that we've talked about.
Yes.
The 2nd Administrative Region, who is a sitting district attorney who wasn't eligible to be appointed as a presiding judge. Sid Hall of the 4th Region, that was reappointed to a second term in December 2021. And Judge Evans, who was reappointed to a second term on June 21st of this year. This is an off year. So starting in January, when the legislature comes back into session, the Senate has to approve these nominations.
Yeah. Okay, I see where
Yeah, you see where the line's drawn in the sand?
Yes, yes.
And they have to go before the nominations committee. Well, I've been dealing with the nominations committee, making sure they understand that their fat's in the fire.
What kind of response have you been getting from them?
Well, the real disappointment, I had words with one of the members of the nominations committee.
Yes.
And it's the senator out of Houston. And it's the African American senator. His office doesn't want to raise this issue.
Playing politics.
It's right. It's African Americans who take the brunt of the corrupt judiciary. They're the ones that are sentenced to prison. They're the ones who have the bail revoked. They're the ones whose families sue, for wrongful deaths and get bombed out. It's the people of color who take the hit. And it's the Houston Senator Boris Miles aides who haven't, I've been sending them the emails and dealing with them for over a month, and they tell me today that they haven't talked to the senator about this, and they're not going to. And it's like, what the hell do you mean you're not going to talk to the senator? You're not going to bring it to his attention. Don't you talk to him? Yeah, we talk all the time. But I haven't talked to him about this issue. Are you kidding me?
But as a citizen, as a resident of a particular jurisdiction, once you go ahead and make this request of your representative, aren't they obligated?
Well, maybe in another state, but we're talking about Texas. Well, remember, in Texas, we have a saying. I know him. He's a good old boy. He wouldn't do anything wrong. Yeah. That's why our Court of Criminal Appeals, Supreme Court, ruled in December last year that the Texas Attorney General has no authority to prosecute people in Texas because our Attorney General violated that trust back after the Civil War during Reconstruction and used his powers to prosecute citizens of this state politically. So after Reconstruction, when our legislature rewrote the Constitution, they took all criminal prosecuting authority away from the Attorney General. So in Texas, which has a strict no abortion law,
yes,
if a district attorney in a particular county has an abortion and he decides not to prosecute it, there's not a damn thing the Attorney General's office or the governor or anybody else can do about it.
We talked about that.
Discretion is solely within the district attorney, and our Court of Criminal Appeals removed all criminal prosecuting power from the Attorney General last December. Now, that hasn't stopped our Attorney General Paxton from appointing his deputy attorney generals as prosecutors, criminal prosecutors pro tem, all across the state, even though the Supreme Court ruled it is absolutely unconstitutional. And since he's going to do it anyway, I had one of my clients file a state bar grievance against the deputy attorney general, charging him with obstruction of justice, impersonating a criminal district attorney pro tem, tampering with government records.
Yes.
Because he's like a judge with no oath. He has no authority on the bench.
There we go.
So yeah, there are a number. If you know the laws and the statutes and the way this state works, there are other avenues that you can use.
Well,
and then you also have, the last straw, and that's the Justice Department and the FBI for federal civil rights violations.
Well,
as we just recently talked, the FBI called me a year ago and needed my help in a high-profile murder case that they couldn't figure out how to get at the murderer.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that, you and I.
Yeah, well, they learned something they didn't know from me. And now we're not going to go into that, but the U.S. Attorney's Office has a new hammer that murderers need to be if you're going to murder somebody for money, you better think twice, because the feds now have a new tool to come after you that they've never known they've had before. and they used it.
I guess we'll address that one in another broadcast.
Yeah,
But
maybe because
maybe.
that's too big a tool to alert
Yeah.
criminals about. This
Maybe.
is best
We'll see.
left. Yeah, this
We'll
is
see.
best left quiet.
Well, Fish, we're gonna wrap this one up early tonight. I want to
I
thank
can
you.
go for that. I got a pot of chili on the stove that I'm just chomping at the bits to get to.
I want to thank you once again for bringing this information to light, because it could mean a lot for a lot of people.
Yes.
People who are doing time, people with family members doing time, people who have cases coming up. You know, it has a lot to do in Texas. So I don't know how it can affect the rest of the country, but this is where we're gonna address this. And
it's good that we addressed it.
Yeah.
Because there are people all over the United States looking to move to Texas because of all the semiconductors and all the business.
Yes.
And that's fine. But you need to understand, when you come here, you're coming into a state that is like the Wild Wild West, that the criminal justice system is what the judges say it is, not what the Constitution and the statutes say it is. So
correct.
You need to know that, because if you get crosswise, there is no hope for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you'll have a defense attorney whose paycheck will come from the judge, from the state. And if you think that attorney's going to represent you, well, you just look at what Barry Scheck did to Rodney Reed
and Larry Swearingen,
and Mariah Lucio.
Lucio, I forgot about her.
Yeah, Barry Scheck represented her and did not, and made sure when they criticized the forensic pathologist who did the autopsy and made false statements during the trial, they never used that woman's name.
Yes.
Because she testified against Rodney at that bogus evidentiary hearing in 2021 last year.
Yeah.
And I warned them who she was, and they made sure they never mentioned her name in the Lucio case, but that's coming out. And do you know where that woman is now? Do you know what autopsy she just presided over? Rod Elementary School.
Yep.
Same person. And the autopsies on all of those people who died in that tractor-trailer rig, suffocated a couple of months ago in San Antonio.
Yeah, the human trafficking ring, yeah.
So all of this, this stuff is incestuous in Texas. They're all these people are interrelated, and they come back again and again and again. That's why I maintain files. I know the pattern.
Yeah.
And I have all the documents ready to tag that woman. and as part of this, all this stuff is unfolding. So any of you listeners out there that know Beto or know somebody high on his campaign, you better put a bug in his ear.
Yep.
Otherwise, might have another 4 years of Abbott or another 2 years of Abbott, because there's a high probability he's looking at the presidency in 2024.
You know what? Yeah, let's call this.
Anyway, it's good talking to you, Kevin. Yeah, Well, is it before midnight? I got to pull up my clock here and take a look.
It's after midnight my time. So thank you to my sponsors and to my affiliates, who some of them I probably lost by now. But thank you to my affiliates anyway. One Harmony Radio, Island Worldwide, NIE Radio, Reggae Pulse Radio, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com. Thank you so very much. PEMG TV, those on Zeno FM, truly appreciate of each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. To all the listeners, those who are watching on YouTube Live, truly appreciate of you. The podcast will be up in the morning, and the YouTube video will be ready for rebroadcast as soon as we're done. Fish, thank you once again.
Hey, my pleasure, and I'll make sure you get a copy of the article that comes out Wednesday so you can post it, because this one's going to be a stinger.
Yes.
And this one will get picked up in the state media.
All right. Thank you, Fish. Take care.
Have a good night.
We'll
Thank
chat.
you, listeners, for putting up with us.
Right?
and my off sense of humor.
They don't even know.
Yeah, have a good night.
Right. You too, man.
Take care. Bye.
All right, bye. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. It has been the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele Community and Finance Night. And as we looked at more dirt being dug up and corruption in the Texas judiciary exposed, thanks to David Fisher and his stellar work. This is where we part company. Do remember to look out for members of your community. Remember, your community is not just the development that you live in, but it spreads far and wide. So those that you pass on the bus, the plane, the boat, or the train, whether you walk, ride, or drive, these are members of your community. Do something good for one of them today, because you never know who's going to do something good for you tomorrow. My name is DJ Kevin Steele, so I like to do it to you, for you, and with you every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Join me tomorrow for Healthy Love right here. KevinSteele.com, 10 p.m. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, good day to you, wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida, I bid you all a good night. Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Steele. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot, where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Steele is on kevinsteele.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.